just got in town, and I won't let cumulus clouds all in the sky.
Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new, and welcome to today's video. Today's video is going to be a highly requested Reddit Let's Not Meet story time. Now if you guys don't know what that is, essentially I will go onto the web and I will type in a spooky story on Reddit about somebody who had a weird encounter with somebody, and it's under the title of Let's Not Meet. It's supposed to just be spooky, it's supposed to be fun, and it's supposed to be entertaining. So go ahead and curl up, grab a cup of tea, get under the blankets, close all your blinds, and let's get on with today's Reddit Let's Not Meet story time. The first story is called Tinder Date That Turned Weird. I went on a Tinder date some time ago while I was adjusting to a new city I had moved to. I didn't really know anybody there, so I used some online dating apps to see the dating scene around town. I landed on from a girl that seemed just like an artsy hippie type of girl. We had a few exchanges through the Tinder app and then decided to meet up for a drink. I picked her up at her house and she greeted me at the door and gave me a huge hug. She said the name of a local bar she wanted to go to for us to chat and get to know each other. I told her I would drive and proceeded to my car. The first red flag I noticed was when I walked to my car and opened the door. She had just followed me to the driver's side and was standing behind me staring. I looked at her blankly for about 15 seconds and asked her if she was going to get in. She said sure, I would love to, and went right along to the passenger side around the back of the car. Since I had just met the girl, I figured she just maybe smoked some weed or something. I got kind of the vibe that she was a bit of a stoner. Time passes, and as I'm driving to the bar, she talked in a very low voice, almost as if she was trying to whisper. I'm not hard of hearing or anything, but I asked her to repeat herself several times just so I could make out the full sentence that she was saying. When we got to the bar, I made sure we got a seat closer to the back, away from most people, just so I could have a little quiet time in order to hear her. Conversations honestly carried on as normal. From this point on, it was actually a fun time for the time being. We talked about a bunch of different things. One thing that she did bring up was that she recreationally used weed and a few other tripping substances. Shrooms, things like that. I'm not much of a fan of these, but it at least made me relax in the back of my mind to think maybe she was just high off marijuana, and that rationally explains some of the out of the ordinary behavior. Granted, I had a few drinks at this point, so I was honestly just not thinking straight. I asked her if she wanted to go to my place after for drinks. She agreed. When we got to my place, we had a few more drinks. Then suddenly, she started talking about her jewelry. This is where it gets weird. She told me her jewelry was her big secret and it defined her. When I asked her why it was so important, she said, I'm actually Anastasia. I was never killed in Russia. My jewelry is my link to my past. It was hard for me to take that serious at this point with how many drinks, so I kind of just challenged the statement using the little bit of history that I did know about Anastasia. At this point, she freaked out, started yelling at the top of her lungs, screaming about how I don't respect her ancestors, I don't respect her history. Then she got quiet and tiptoed right up to me and grabbed me by the neck. She then brought my face eye to eye with hers while still holding my neck. She says at this point, I am a shaman and I will curse you. My ancestors have destroyed many people and you do not respect that. You are from oppressive ancestors. They will be punished. She then put her hand in a whiskey glass and made a cross on my face and kissed my forehead. At this point, I really started to sober up. I talked her into calming down and telling her I was only joking. Then she slowly started to get back to normal. Then she started talking about her cat fetish. She tells me she has a list of people who she tames to act as cats. I am not judging people on their fetishes, so I listen in. She then tells me about all the things she does to them and starts acting like a cat in my fucking living room. If she had not yelled at me earlier on, I might have almost been turned on by it, but my red flags in my head were tingling like crazy. At this point, I just really tried not to set her off. Then she noticed something on my kitchen counter. Sage. She asked me to let her light it and bless my house. Side note, I do use sage to make my house smell better occasionally. It's kind of like a ritual I like to do, but it's mine and my own. Something I take very personally and like to do myself. I tell her no, she can't light it and that it's my thing to do on my own. She then freaks out, telling me I'm a horrible human being, screaming all over the place. I tell her I can take her home now, and she runs to the door and goes outside. As I go outside, she is literally screaming at the top of her lungs how I'm a horrible person and that I should go die. I tell her she can walk herself home then. I go back to my place and lock the door. Suddenly, she starts banging on my door, hard in, about 10 minutes, saying that she left her phone inside. I grab her phone off the kitchen counter and open the door to hand it to her. She tries to literally barge inside my house, so I have to block her with my forearm. She then acts like she's about to punch me. I just hold my ground and tell her that she is not coming in. She screams that she wanted the whiskey bottle we were drinking from. I told her hell no, because I paid for that damn thing. I slam the door at the point and lock it. I hear her bang loud for maybe a minute. I then hear footsteps going down the stairs. I waited about an hour and then went walking outside to see if she was still hanging around. I didn't see her, nor did I see her again after that. I know this is probably not the scariest encounter ever, but for the next few nights I was so creeped out, always walking around the area I lived in to make sure she wasn't hanging around. I honestly hope she is okay wherever she is, but I hope to never see her again. Let's not meet. That was fucking crazy. Can you imagine? Like, I really want to know if maybe like she was just drunk and on like some type of psychedelic, like shrooms or something like that, and maybe because of that she made herself into this alternate universe where she was Anastasia in a past life. If you guys don't know what Anastasia is, but I hope I'm saying it right, it's either Anastasia or Anastasia. It's a movie, and it's just you have to go look it up. I don't have time to explain it here, but basically this girl was saying that she was Anastasia and that she never was killed in Russia, or that she was like reincarnated or some shit, and it honestly sounds like a really bad trip on shrooms. Either that or she's into some satanic occult shit, and either way that is so scary. I would be so freaking spooked, and this is why you don't bring people back to your apartment after you go out. Especially people you don't know. That one, I was not expecting that at all. That was actually a really, really good one. So let's get into the next one. This one is called Guy Chased Us Home. Yeah, we're gonna have to read this. Last year, I was going out for drinks with my friends. But since I had to go on uni the next day, I only stayed till around midnight. My boyfriend promised to pick me up and go home with me because I don't like taking the subway alone at night. But I was pretty drunk by then. I took a little too long walking out of the pub, and unfortunately we had to wait for the night bus. The bus had multiple stops, might I add. For context, my boyfriend and I do not live together, but very close to each other, around 15 to 20 minutes walking distance. Both areas are honestly pretty shitty. He lives near a train station, many crackheads, homeless, and sketchy people. I live in a cheap, bad district with a very high crime rate. My building has 2 entrances on 2 different sides of the street because it's a corner building leading to a patio and then to an apartment building and its doors. To get into my apartment, I have to open 3. I usually use the entrance door that is nearest to the subway and on my side of the apartment. We had to take 2 buses to go home. One drove us to the train station and the next one from the train station to my apartment. After getting out of the first bus, we realized that we would have to wait for around 20-something minutes for the second bus to come. Since I really had to sleep at home, I had class the next day, I didn't want to stay at my boyfriend's place. My boyfriend didn't want to wait, so he persuaded me to walk instead of taking the bus. Sober me would have never done, but since I was drunk, I didn't care how we got home, so I agreed. Started walking home and passed a few sketchy people, mostly just people selling drugs, but pretty much harmless. Nothing really bad. But then, I saw a guy walking in our direction. I got a really bad feeling, like your intuition just tingling, telling you to run. I told my boyfriend that I wanted to change to the other side of the street because I didn't want to walk past him. Suddenly, the guy yelled, "Hey!" as if he wanted to ask us something, but we ignored it, continued to walk. He got louder and louder until he started to yell. I could see from the corner of my eye that he was coming over, so I whispered to my boyfriend, "Run," took his hand, and ran the fastest I could while he was chasing us. We ran and ran and then made a turn to the right, the street where I live. We hid behind some bushes. It seemed like the guy was gone, so I took my keys out and we started to run towards my building, taking the other entrance of my building that I normally do not use. As I was trying to open the door, my boyfriend started panicking, throwing me inside the patio and closing the door aggressively, and then pushing me to the building. He explained the guy actually came running from the other side of the street, meaning he took a shortcut, probably thinking we were going to run to the subway or bus stops, I don't know. If we had taken the other entrance, he would have been clearly the faster one. Being in shock, we unfortunately did not call the police, which I regret. I stopped going out for drinks and clubbing for half a year after this, and slept at my boyfriend's place for almost 2 weeks because I was so scared that he would come back. I think the worst thing about this is that he really wanted to get us. I still want to know why he chased us for so long, but I guess I never will. 2 weeks later, a girl a few streets away from me was actually raped in front of her building by a guy who chased her home. I wonder if it was the same guy or if it just was a coincidence. Let's not meet. That is honestly the reason why it is like so important to never ever walk anywhere at nighttime. I remember when I was growing up, when I was in high school, if I'd be at a party or out at a friend's house, because my town was very small and it was predominantly safe, I guess, I would always walk home, and I look back now and realize that like there could have been so many times where something bad happened to me. There are a lot of sick, disgusting, horrible people out there in this world who have intentions on just hurting others, and even she was with her boyfriend and wasn't safe. Like, it doesn't matter if you're with a guy, if you're with somebody bigger than you. Some people out there are just crazy. Like, who knows why he was chasing them? He could have just had his eye on her, or he could have just wanted to scare them, who knows? But something tells me that since the story about a girl who was unfortunately in front of the building, I don't think that's a coincidence. I think that he ended up getting to her, and that is honestly so fucking scary. And thank God that this girl and her boyfriend got away from him. But this is honestly why it's just so important to, it doesn't matter what town you live in, you guys, because crime happens everywhere. Just don't walk anywhere at night alone, and always have like pepper spray or something on you that you can use to defend yourself. That story, I definitely was not expecting that, but let's get on into our third and final one. This one is called How My Friend's Date Almost Got Us Killed and Dumped in a Ditch. We're gonna read this. Back when I was 17, I would go out to parties with my friend at night. It was my best friend, and at the time, Ivan and his cousin Caesar would invite me out to that one fateful night in question. I had been talking to my friend Ivan on Facebook about meeting each other, and since I really hadn't had much experience with girls, I thought it was now or never. The girl had a birthday party that day and invited us all to join her. I took a bath, got ready, and my friends pulled up for me on a small car, Autos, that was really popular in Mexico in the early hundreds. Since it was small, it was really good at saving gas and not too expensive, so the perfect car for a college student. I said goodbye to my mom and got in. We went to buy beer for the night and a pack of smokes for everyone. Back then, I smoked a lot. I still cringe about it, but it was a college thing, I suppose. My friend told us that he had been in contact with this girl on Facebook and that she accepted to come to the party with him tonight. We were all impressed and happy for him. We pulled up to her house and parked near a park to wait for her. I remember a group of thugs walking around the park, but since they seemed our age, we weren't too bummed out. My friend called her to come out, and my friend Caesar stepped outside for a smoke. I was sitting in the back not wanting to come out because of these guys outside. They seemed to be asking for trouble because they began to argue about something really dumb with him. So my friend Ivan told me to step out just to have his back in case anything happened. I'm not particularly strong, but I am almost 6 feet tall, and with a winter coat, I tried my best to appear tough enough for them to think twice. I lit a cigarette and pretended to be tough, looked at the guy and laughed. Somehow it worked and they left. The night goes on and we go to the party. Had a great time. I made out all night with the girl I was talking to, and later even found out she had kissed pretty much every dude that was there before me. Nevertheless, I was grateful for the opportunity and said goodbye with a long kiss. As we headed back to the house, my friend's date seemed very quiet. I knew they had hit it off during the party, but now looked stiff and even scared. My buddy and I were riding in the back to let them have the front row to themselves, but she was just nervously looking at her phone. When we arrived, she wanted to get out, and my friend tried to score points by saying, "Wait, I'll walk you in." She did not like this, and she told him to just go. We were a bit buzzed in the back and wanted to have a smoke, so we all stepped outside and watched them go to her door. I remember laughing about something with my friend when the mood suddenly became very dark. She screamed, "Go now, get out of here." A car pulled out nearly in front of us, and people with bats and blunt instruments got off so fast, I barely remember how I got back into the back seat. The girl said something along the lines of "leave them alone" and held him while a bunch of dudes got out. My friend Ivan got into the driving seat and started the car. Thankfully, it started right up without trouble, but a big bottle of liquor then hit the windshield, cracking the top corner. I saw some guys come from the right side of the car where we were standing and quickly went over to the other side, let my friend have easy way into the back seat. As I turned the corner, I saw this massive looking guy come up to me and barely had time to close the door and pull the lock down. This dude was punching my window. My other friend wasn't so lucky since he actually got hit in the head and barely made it into the car. He could not even close the door because one guy was grabbing his leg. All of this happened in the span of literally 6 seconds. I acted all out of instinct, and thankfully we all got in and my friend stepped on the gas while zigzagging it out of there in case they would shoot at us. We were all scared shitless and wondered what happened. As we got back to our neighborhood, my friends were fuming. Both of them knew their way around the fight and could hold their own. I, on the other hand, am turning 30 next year and still have never been in a fight. Thankfully, I still had some cash left and told them we would go buy some illegal beer at midnight and tried my best to calm them down, convinced them not to go back. After a few beers and a lot of talking, I convinced them it wasn't worth it and to just let the night end. I got home, my parents never found out, and just fell asleep. The next few days, my friend Ivan called me and told me that the girl's ex-boyfriend was actually a lead gang member. A gang known for beating the hell out of people and dropping them in water canals around the city. My heart dropped out of all of the things that could have happened. We had been seconds away from getting beat down and maybe killed by a bunch of guys that we didn't even know, for nothing, for a date. If it wasn't for our quick reaction, her backing them up a bit, and something outside this realm that wanted us to get away, we might have not made it. To this day, I still stay awake at night thinking of how fast and out of nowhere situations like this can present themselves in your life. How many times have we avoided critical danger? All I can say is trust your gut and your instincts. In the end, it all happens so fast, it's all you have. So to the dudes who almost took my life for absolutely no reason, let's not meet. It's literally crazy how in life you could be at just the wrong place at the wrong time and get put in a situation like this. I feel like he is so right. God forbid that that girl had not held them back. God forbid that they had not acted on instinct and directly got out of there. Something bad could have happened to them. And it was literally for no reason. Like, they obviously didn't know that she had this ex-boyfriend who was like a lead gang member. They obviously didn't know that they were infiltrating themselves into this mess before meeting this girl. Like, they had no idea. They didn't even know her. So it's just honestly so true. Always listen to your gut. Always listen to your instinct. And more importantly, just don't be around people you don't know like that, okay? Because you never know. Some people really have some bad skeletons in their closet and they just come out at the wrong place at the wrong time. All right, guys, that is it for today's spooky Reddit stories of Let's Not Meet. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I figured that it would really set the tone and set the theme for the month of October, spooky and scary. If you guys did like the series of these stories and me narrating them, leave a comment down below so that way I know if I should continue them or not. Most importantly, subscribe, join our Dakota crew family, give this video a like. Follow my personal development podcast called Sis Let's Heal. And until next time, stay safe. See you in my next video. Bye.
Isn't an option due to unusual rain and thunder. Baby, I wonder.